Talk is cheap. Conversation is priceless. This is The Blab.
Well, when I was a kid, my mom said to me, "What are you going to do with your life?" I said, at some point I'm going to try to have a lot of fun and make a living as doing something called The Blab. And somewhere along the way, here I am. And I'm having fun with it so far, but I'm not making any money with it. Good evening and welcome to Facebook Live if you're with us on, and if you're not listening to me and seeing me anyway.
Hello there.
I'm Scott Edward Phelps. That's Dave Simmons, and accept no substitutes.
That is correct.
And I was told last week, by the way, you know what? I need to do this because I'm talking and they can't see us. Watch how this works. Okay. Now, supposedly, see, I'm still trying to figure out how it works myself. And if I have to cheat and go to the other machinery, it's a free broadcast, okay? What do you want from me? Okay. What are you seeing on your
I'm
Facebook?
staring in the back of an ear right now.
Okay.
There it goes. It's gone.
There you go. Now let's see if I think we should be in the right, and the camera and the logo should be down there in the corner, and everything's good. And you'll notice this week from our last week, this is actually pilot episode 2.
Yes.
Okay, last week we worked out the major crap and kinks. This week we'll work out the minor crap and kinks, and by next week we should be totally amateurish. But
yes,
down in the corner, thank you for the suggestion, my friend Ricky Freeberry, who called last week. 302-922-0276, and it's down there in the corner if you want to call in and say hey tonight. We can do that.
Yes.
Okay. All right, and I got all kinds of fun new gadgets here going on. And what we're going to do is right off the bat, I always used to say on my Sunday night show when we got ready to go into a new thing, I'd say, well, we can't go forward with what we're going to be talking about. It's going to happen tomorrow and the next day until we take a little look back as to what just happened this past week.
That was the week that was. It's over, let it go. That was the week that was. It started way above par, finished way below. That was the week that was. It's over, let it slide.
All right, let it slide. 302-922-0276 if you want to weigh in. And also, if you're watching us or listening to us on Facebook Live, you can chat there on Facebook, and those things will roll up. And our Facebook chat director, Dave Simmons, is right over there watching those carefully and be happy to answer those comments. But I want to reiterate what I said last week, and I watched the recording of our program, and I realized that I came off a little stridently in a couple of situations, which is my wont from time to time. It happens. And I don't want people to run. No, I said strident. I didn't say abrasive.
No, I said abrasive.
Oh, okay. I said, I heard myself say it because I watched myself say it on the rebroadcast. I said, I do a commentary program that welcomes phone calls because I really don't give a shit what people think.
Right. I cried into my pillow that night.
Well, I don't a lot of times, but that doesn't mean that I'm not willing to hear it and engage with it and do all the rest of that. So anyway, if you want to chime in on the dealio, that's fine too. But here's the thing: this little opening segment is just by way of I'm going to throw like 4 or 5 or 6 things that happened this past week. We can riff on them if you like, and if not, you can just sit there and be arrogant.
I'll scream next.
And I got next here, man, because I'm making it happen. Okay. First of all, and let me read these real quick, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, before we talk about any in particular. This is like breaking news headlines. The fire of the cathedral there in Notre Dame. And they've already raised like $700 billion to fix it. And I've had personally second thoughts since I started applauding what a great thing that was. More on that in a minute. Pete Buttigieg announced for the presidency of the United States. He's the gay one, if you're hearing all about, okay. But there's some stuff to be
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not at all. And this is a very articulate kid. You and I were talking about him not long ago, and I was very impressed with him. Lori Loughlin has pled not guilty to using her influence and her millions of dollars to get her spoiled, rotten brat kid into college who really could give a shit less whether she goes to college or not. But that's a legal terminology. Republicans are, this is the word for tonight. Every night I like to increase the word power. I'm a vocabulary guy. Aghast. Not a gas, aghast. I saw several news stories this week, and the headline was some variation of Republicans are aghast that Donald Trump is basically telling them to bugger off. No tax returns. I'm not doing anything you asked me to do. I don't give a shit about your subpoenas. And it's like when you and I were talking a minute ago about in all these years you finally figured out that your dad's a stubborn guy.
Right.
Okay. All of a sudden the Republicans are realizing that Donald Trump is not going to do what they want him to do. Okay. Hold that thought. Game of Thrones, final season. And what's really trendy right now is people who are admitting publicly that they have never seen the first episode of Game of Thrones.
I haven't watched one.
Well, I know about the show a little, and from what I hear, it's mostly dragons and incest, and Marriage Number 3 took care of that for me. I didn't need any more of that.
There you go.
All right. And the other thing I got here was, this. The new, or newest, or coming Star Wars film was announced, the name, the title, this week. Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
And the trailer.
The trailer was awesome.
It looks just like every other Star Wars movie, but it looks like a lot of fun and a lot of great CGI. And it's and pop quiz. What's it called? Besides Star Wars,
the Rise of Skywalker or something like that.
It is the Rise of Skywalker.
There we go.
I wish I had a ding, ding, ding. Well, I tell you what I do have. Shut up. I have this. Okay.
Well, that's contractually you have to do that when I talk. So
we'll do what we can. So any of those things, and
you left out the big one.
Well, there was lots of big ones. If you're talking about Tiger.
Okay. That's
the
big.
I wasn't leaving it out. I just had a feeling that you wanted to talk about that at length.
Okay.
And we would get into that.
We'll touch Tiger. That didn't sound good.
Touch Tiger?
We'll touch Tiger later.
Yeah. We won't be touching Tiger unless we're running for president. All right. What else was I going to tell you? Oh, the fire thing, the Notre Dame Cathedral thing. Here's the deal. Somebody put a wonderful meme up today, and they're right. A lot of the European billionaires came together and immediately were offering hundreds of millions of dollars to start restoring it. And in the historical sense, it's a wonderful thing, okay? But a lot of people said, and one meme in particular said, and I'm paraphrasing, as a Catholic, may I offer this? Don't donate to this cause. The Catholic Church is worth $30 billion, okay?
Tax-free.
Donate to Flint, Michigan for their water. Donate to get kids out of cages. Donate for potholes to be filled. Donate. Don't get caught up in this. And I thought, yeah. Because when I first read the headline that one of the millionaires or billionaires had said, I'm going to offer 100, I thought, how generous and how wonderful. And I didn't give it the second thought. And then I realized, you know what? That Catholic person is right.
Well, the Catholic Church has unlimited funds. And, as a tax-free organization worldwide, everything's profit to them. They can afford to fix the Notre Dame themselves.
I'll tell you something else, too. I think that needs to go.
What?
Tax-free.
Oh, yeah. No, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I thought so forever because it's ridiculous.
Well, there's a ton of pop-up churches because they don't have to pay taxes.
Well, even the legitimate big frame churches and all that, right? They're taking in the mucks and out bucks and the mega churches and all the rest of that. I get where that came from at some point, but so many things now are not, obsolete is a word that doesn't get used often enough in my humble.
Well, I've always said religion is a money-making scheme that I wish I thought of.
Well, it always has been,
right?
But at least it had the pretense of doing good for people along the way. And as far as religion is concerned, again, obsolescence. The idea that churches shouldn't have to pay taxes is obsolete.
Right. It's a business.
Electoral college is obsolete. We'll get into that at another time. This guy, Pete Buttigieg.
Very articulate.
This is going to be interesting. And I was the guy who said 3 years ago, I was the guy who said, and I don't like him and I've made no secret of it, I was the guy who said, don't keep laughing at Donald Trump because there's more here than meets the eye and with what's going on and et cetera, okay? And I turned out to be right. Poor me. I think the same thing's true with this guy, okay? What's already starting to happen, though, is that the anti-gay groups are starting to follow him around. He's in Iowa this weekend, I think, and doing rallies and things. And they're already coming on. And I read one article that said, one of the guys interviewed said, quote, we think this candidate is the most dangerous man in the world, in America.
No.
Well, we both know what that is.
But, no, I think he's very articulate. Does he have the governing knowledge to navigate Washington? I mean, he's a mayor of a small town.
What difference does that make?
Well, I mean, but you know what I mean.
I do, but
Yeah.
I'm saying in the year 2019, after Donald Trump has come and gone, who the hell cares?
Well, that's a valid point.
You know, and you and I have had that conversation more than it was one of the kinds of conversations we had that kind of spurred us starting to do this and letting other people share in the wisdom of our wisdom was, I said to you, the good news and the bad news all at the same time, or reversed around, is that because of Donald Trump, there's no bar to be lowered. All the bets are off. Okay, you don't have, that doesn't work anymore. This business of, and I laughed the other day. Somebody was talking about, well, they're going to really go after this guy Buttigieg because he's gay and he's married to this man. And you know, I got like one comment through a comment thread before somebody brought up the God created Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. And I'm thinking, okay, here we go. But these very same people are the very same people who are wearing the red cap saying "Make America Great Again." So I say to myself, well, I'm trying to imagine if I was a dad with kids who were young enough to come, who kind of be hip to things, but want to ask me questions, and they'd say, "We don't understand, you know, how come a pussy grabber is okay, but a gay guy that loves his husband isn't," and so on and so forth.
The main problem with Washington, both sides of the aisle, is self-awareness.
No.
Self-awareness is the biggest problem in Washington, D.C. You know,
the biggest problem in Washington, D.C. is Mitch McConnell, but that's an entirely different story. And I'll tell you something about this.
You don't like Uncle Mitch?
No. You know, Alana Nash I've had her on my radio shows from time to time. She's the author of a number of great Elvis biographies, and she's really a delightful person, and she's a Kentuckian through and through, old school Kentucky, bless her heart. And I've never really talked politics with her. We're going to get her on one of these shows here in the near future.
I'd love to talk to her.
And saying I think we'll have a chance to do that with some flexibility. But, you know, Kentucky is the state that gave us Rand Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And Kentucky is the state. You know, if it wasn't for early times, bourbon and cool hats on Kentucky Derby Day, for my money, you could, you know, Mitch McConnell, come on. He's just.
How about Kentucky Rain?
Yeah, okay. He's just not. All right, I didn't want to wander too far off. Game of Thrones, ever watched it?
No, I've never watched one episode.
Okay.
Dragons don't do it for me.
I would like anybody who wants to volunteer the information to, you know, if they're inclined to say, hey, I want to check in tonight, fine. If not, fine too. Oh, I know. That was the thought I was going to finish when I was talking about being abrasive, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
When I said, if you feel you can want to jump in and chat on the Facebook Live post, or if you want to call us at the number 302-922-0276, that's fine. What I said last week, though, that I meant was, we don't live or die by the number of people who call or get in touch with us. Conventional talk radio is like, well, you got to have those calls, man. You got to have them coming in. Well, no, you don't, because this is just you and I talking.
We do this without microphones 3 or 4 times a week. So,
yeah, and if people want to listen and listen, fine. And if not, bye-bye. It's okay.
Bye-bye.
And again, I don't mean that to sound like F off. I just mean, okay. I told you the story about the lady that called my show one night when I was doing talk radio. Well, I didn't really have anything to talk about, but I heard you weren't getting any callers, and I just felt
I felt sorry for you.
Well, it was real sweet, but I said, lady, I don't, you know, it's okay. Anybody who knows me for 30 seconds knows that I'm not lacking for things to talk about.
That is true.
So,
that is true.
All right, and are you going to go see the Star Wars movie in the theater? In the theaters, or wait for the DVD?
Scott, the way that I have my house set up, it's like a movie theater with surround sound, the big screen. So,
thank you.
You know, I usually wait for them to come out.
So do I. I don't go. The last time we went to a movie was, if it's what I call an event, and Star Wars is marginally what I call an event movie, and in which case we go all the way over to the other side of Baltimore in IMAX 3D.
Yeah.
And we saw Gravity there, and I think one of the Transformers movies and stuff like that. But that's a long haul just to see. And I got a 60-inch flat screen with theater sound in my living room. I don't need.
You're just bragging now, Scott.
No.
It's all about size with you, isn't it?
But I have big hands.
It's all about size, Scott.
Very important. All right, I want to try out this little dealio. Let's see if this works, and we'll be back in a second. So that's how that works, and I cleverly designed that. We talked about doing this show
Well, Scott, somebody on the Facebook live feed, Jeannie, she said that.
I'm already quivering.
No, she said she believes the biggest threat to Mayor Pete will be from the Bernie camp, not from the anti-gay camp.
Huh. Okay.
Which is actually that is a valid point.
Well, that's
well done, Jeannie. Well done.
Thank you, Jeannie. I don't want to argue with you, but I will.
Of course you will.
No, not argue. Let me just. I'm a Vulcan.
Hold on a second, Jeannie. Let me apologize prior to Scott speaking.
Which turn that around. Let me see that for a second. See if this is the Jeannie that do you have a wire there that you can do that with?
No, I don't.
Okay.
This is Jeannie Briley.
Yeah, that's Jeannie. I know Jeannie.
Yeah.
Hi, Jeannie. Thanks for watching.
I like Jeannie already.
I know you do, and she's a pal.
So you be nice to her.
Hey, I brought my friend. You know, we're gonna over the course of the weeks we do this thing. Your 7,000 groupies will be checking in on a regular basis. But for right now, this is my Facebook.
Okay.
Yes, I agree. My context was and what she said attack. Yeah, okay. The Bernie people are going to come after Pete the way Pete's people are going to go after. It's politics. Somebody's jockeying for the nomination, and that's how it goes. I'm talking about and that's political strategizing, and whether it's well done or high class or whatever, it doesn't matter. What I'm talking about is just vicious mudslinging shit,
right?
For no other reason than they're just mean and whack jobs. And we're going to talk a little extra about Jesus tonight, primarily for something special that I mentioned I wanted to do. But I wanted to, well, you know what? I'm going to jump around here because I can. I got a little thing here. I made this little scene again. If it gets ragged, it's because we're still putting together the stuff and the dealio. And I'm punching buttons here. This is actually our setup, my setup, and the equipment and everything else. And it's like a radio station where I have to learn. But I still don't know what buttons I'm pushing. So if that happens. But I make these things up, and I want them to be usable. So here's what we're going to do with this. We're going to go right into that, see how I ad-lib. Let's try this and see what happens. Okay, that was the short version of that one. And I got to learn to make the cues and set where it goes. Let's go back to the camera, and there we are. Now we should reappear, and everything's fine. Isn't this fun? All right, here's the reason that we're going to go down the church line for a second, okay? Because remember Michelle Bachmann?
Yes. Bachmann Turner Overdrive?
Yeah, taking care of business. And we're already a little political heavy tonight, but it's, let me make this semi-solemn vow. Each and every week when we do this, I promise you we're not going to talk about politics for a solid hour. That said, and I've said this in many conversational contexts, what's happening in the world of politics in our country and in this world right now on the timeline are so impacting that to not talk about it is it doesn't feel natural. But we prepare a little material and we'll spontaneously talk about other things. I have a variety of experiences and et cetera. You've done a couple of things.
Wow.
There you go. I'm making fun of my friend Jeannie. That's
I like Jeannie.
But Michelle Bachmann was on. She's not in Congress anymore. Praise Jesus. She was on some radio show.
Yes.
She was asked about, well, this will explain it, because this is what she said. I'm going to make sure I punch the right button here. Hang on. Here we go.
And I will say to your listeners, in my lifetime, I have never seen a more biblical president than I have seen in Donald Trump. He has so impressed me with what he's done. And we haven't even talked about Israel, what he has done to advance Israel. So he is highly biblical. And I would say to your listeners, we will in all likelihood never see a more godly biblical president again in our lifetimes. So we need to be not only praying for him, we need to support him, in my opinion, in every possible way that we can.
Let me tell you what I'm thinking.
Oh, boy.
And it's not going to be what you think I'm thinking. The easy route to take here is to dump on Michelle Bachmann as a doorknob, Looney Tune, tinfoil hat, praise Jesus person.
Right.
Okay, I just did that. And you know me, I like to pride myself in being the guy who comes up with the thing under the thing. Everybody's talking about the thing. I'm saying, well, what about the thing under the thing? Here's the thing under the thing. Jesus needs to really take a long, hard look at his sales staff. Because it's in serious, serious trouble. Okay? if that's the quality of pitch person, and by that, and I'm being mildly irreverent, but I mean those who proselytize the word of Jesus and try to bring people into a Christian life, I would call those a form of pitch person,
Right.
a saleswoman or man, as it were. Thank you. Okay. So it's not meant derogatorily in that sense. This tinfoil hat wearing wig nut who expects Jesus to show up in the parking lot of the 7-Eleven in the next 20 minutes. Okay, and you know why that she was asked to come on that radio show? It's because she's a tinfoil hat wing nut, and they know she's going to say ridiculous crap like that.
Is that why you asked me to come here?
No, it's because you didn't want to get paid.
Oh, okay.
You were willing to do it for free. All right. Well, here's an interesting thing, and so that's my thing. It's you know, they're not only, my opinion again, they're not only not all that bright, they're driving people away from, because here's what it is. The people who listen to that, who heard that just now, okay, those people are beyond hope anyway, and there's nothing that's going to change. It's kind of like the thing with Donald. They're not going to change their minds. But people who might be interested, maybe they're not committed to a Christian life. Maybe they're thinking about it. Maybe they're praying on it. Maybe they want to. And then, if I was that person and I heard that, and I'd say, this is a high-ranking Christian representative, as it were, I don't want any fucking part of that.
Well, Scott, this falls under the category of too much of anything is a bad thing.
Well,
Too much religion is a bad thing. You know, too many cookies is a bad thing. Too much of anything is a bad thing.
that's not what Liberace used to say.
Well, yeah.
His sign-off in the end of his shows, in his flamboyant days, and I do a mildly bad impression of Michael Douglas doing a really good impression of Liberace in that movie. But he used to sign off his shows with, and remember, too much of a good thing is wonderful.
Yes, yes.
So there's that.
Well, you know what he was talking about.
I do. He
Yes.
was talking about that stuff that Pete Buttigieg does with his wife or his husband. I like Pete Buttigieg.
I think he's
guy-
he's very articulate.
Anyway, Michelle Bachmann, shut up, okay? Or Jesus, Lord Jesus, baby Jesus. I want to thank you so much for this wonderful meal of Taco Bell, Kentucky Fried. You see what? Are you with me on this thing? I mean, I know your
I
disdain
agree.
for religion. You and I are brothers of a different mothers, but I'm talking about, okay, I want Christianity to get the best representation that it deserves, to be able to have people listen to what it's all about and perhaps bring it in. And this kind of crap just makes intelligent people go,
Right. The root belief, the root thought process of religion and Christianity, is to be good. Be good to people, be good to each other,
be good.
be good, and that's, I don't know. It's somewhere be good turn into give me your money.
Well, it always has.
Well,
In one form or another. 30 years ago now, when I was living in Nashville and writing songs, I, just for the heck of it, wrote a song. I wish I had a copy of that demo because it was really a good song. It's when Jim Baker was around the first time, when it was Jim and Tammy,
right.
okay, before she went to heaven. And, he's still around, by the way, doing his...
Yes, he is.
Okay. It was the PTL Club.
Mm-hmm.
The PTL standing for Praise the Lord. I watched one of their programs, and I was already familiar with it, but I watched one of their programs at a particularly interesting evening or whatever. The timing was right. I had the old guitar by my hand. I probably had a couple of shots of blackjack, and I was sitting there, and I thought, this whole thing just is so repellent to me with what he's doing, because it's clearly nothing more than an infomercial
Right.
for bucks.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote a song, and we demoed it, and we pitched it around, but it was a novelty-type piece. It was called PTL, and the chorus was, praise the Lord, but send us the bread. You got to pay up if you expect to be led. You ain't seen nothing if you think Jesus bled. Praise the Lord and send us the bread. Well, but that was 30 years ago.
Right, right.
It's no secret that so many, not all, but so many of these churches, Joel Osteen, living the Christian life, taking care of the homeless, living in his $73 billion mansion there's nothing new going on there either.
Mm-hmm.
But you'd think at some point that Jesus would say, I need to take a look at the sales staff, and we're not doing very well. And there's Bachman. So there's that. All right, the other thing in conjunction of that was, just to be dumber, if you had heard about this girl, they shut a bunch of schools down in Colorado because there was some 20-year-old girl who was going around saying that she was a fan, or she was infatuated with the idea of Columbine, and she was headed toward that area. And she'd been seen purchasing a gun and shells.
Believe it or not, I did not hear that
Well,
story.
you've been busy. Anyway, she's dead. There was a massive manhunt in the area. They actually shut schools down in a dozen districts in the Colorado area.
Would she off herself?
I don't really know. I don't know. I didn't get the details. It was just a breaking news a little while before we started to do this. Anyway, so there's that. But it brought this up that one of these wonderful surveys, a poll taken ahead, said that most Americans consider schools less safe than they were 2 decades ago, but they don't fault the schools. They blame bullying, the availability of guns, the internet, and video games. I was surprised that heavy metal music wasn't included in there, but
yeah,
what do you got?
No, again, self-awareness. The people that shoot these schools up, the kids, they're mentally unsound. I mean, we need better recognition of mental illness. If you can nip that in the bud before it happens, you're not going to have these schools shut up.
Remember the Chris Rock thing where he talked about the music, and the kids went crazy and started shooting because they listened to heavy metal music, and Chris was very profane about it, but he was absolutely right. He goes, "Whatever happened to fucking crazy?"
Right. I mean, I just think we need, better mental illness recognition. I mean, whether it's better counseling within the school districts.
Yeah.
I think that would, number one, weed out the whack jobs. And then when you find somebody wacky, do something about it.
Yeah, put them in Congress where they belong.
But, they'll talk to them and then say that guns are bad. Now go back to class. And then next week they're in shooting up the school.
I do. And you know what? There's a lot of what we talk about when we're just privately conversing, and a lot of what I think we're going to evolve into talking about here and exchanging opinions with people. And you've heard me say this 1,000 times. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm a common sensican. And that may or may not be an existing party, but it does in my own head. And what you just said, so much of it is common sense.
Right.
The problem with common sense right now is that it's neither common nor sensical. And while we're battling this weird, there's an alternative truth, alternative facts. Bullshit. Okay, things are either right or wrong. They're either correct or not. There's truth and fact and lies and all the rest of that kind of stuff.
Right.
And like you just said, it's my theory of the nebula. When Donald came along and all that stuff started, and it's gotten worse in the last few years. And the common phrase is to say that, wow, these weird things happen. We're down the rabbit hole. That's the old-fashioned way to say it. My wife, the Star Trek aficionado, upgraded that to the high-tech version. She said, we're in the nebula. And if you're any kind of a Trek or a science fiction person, you know
Trekkie.
The nebula is that cloudy, gassy thing they go into, and when they go into it, nothing works. The ship's sensors don't read. They don't know whether they're upside down or right side up.
Right.
Black is white. It's the rabbit hole. It's
Yes.
the high-tech rabbit hole. Well, that's where we are
Well,
right
yeah.
now.
No, I agree.
All right. That sucks. All right. I want to try this little dealio one more time. Let's see how this goes.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Catchy music, isn't it?
Catchy.
Isn't
Catchy.
it delightful? All right. I told you when you came in today that
Toe-tapping.
you had some stuff you wanted to talk about, and I said before we go there, don't throw it at me first. Let's run through some of this other stuff.
You got it.
Because I got a little thing I want to do here, and I do it for you. I do it for your love, man. We will exchange opinions, conversation, et cetera, throughout the entire course of each hour that we do each and every week. But each and every week at some point, I'm going to say something to the effect of, I want to shine the spotlight on you, Dave Simmons.
Okay.
This is your life.
Okay.
I even got theme music for this.
Oh, Lord.
Now, I did find a cute little website called segmentthemesonthecheap.com. And I had this put together just for you. But so right now, ladies and gentlemen, and ships at sea, it's time for Dave's World. It's time for Dave's World.
Wow.
Wait a minute. I said, now see, I can't see what I'm doing here, so I'm just flying blind. It's okay. We're going to make it work. I paid a lot of money for this. I paid 9 cents for this thing. Here we go. Let's try this again. It's time for Dave's World. All right, there we go.
Wow.
All right, and I'll have you know, by the by,
You spent 8 cents
I
too
spent,
much.
well, no, I actually found a little kid who was willing to do it. I had to poke him. That's why I went. That's at that moment you hear him go, Dave World, Dave World. That's the best I could do. Nevertheless, that's my way of saying, dude. It's what time is it? It's about 7:31 on a beautiful Wednesday evening in America, USA. So what do you got?
Well, being that we connected through the golf business, I wanted to address Tiger. And I mean, it was phenomenal this weekend, Sunday, his win, his comeback win.
Mhm.
But my question to you is, Tiger back, or did the stars just align for him to win this Master? And is he never going to catch Jack?
You're asking me specifically or rhetorically?
Both. How about that? I want to see you chase your tail.
Let me tell you something, pal. I didn't chase my tail for 3 out of the 5 wives. I'm not going to start doing it for you. And there was that one dragon and incest marriage that was just, off the charts. I will answer the question this way.
Okay.
Because Lord knows I should use few words when I can use many. I saw I think it was Nike, has already got the commercial running, where it's Tiger a while back, because he still had that evil mirror universe Spock goatee.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a while back. But it was Tiger sitting in a room watching a monitor, watching television in a nice living room.
Right.
And they had cut together a beautiful montage of all the sportscasters over the last 15 years doing, and this was legit stuff. They weren't making it up on the spot. Well, Tiger Woods is finished. Well, the next time you hear the word Tiger, it's going to be with "I retire." He's never going to.
I saw the commercial.
Okay,
Yeah, it's good.
And each recurring moment as it cuts back to Tiger, the grin gets a little bigger, not ungracious, but a little grin, and then just do it or carry on. In answer to your question, I think he's back. I think he has every potential, and I would be, if he can stay injury free. Okay, I'm starting to sound like the ESPN guy.
Stephen A. Smith.
He only needs like one more, doesn't he?
One more Master to tie, yes.
Okay, but what about the major total though? Isn't he?
I mean, my major's not Master. I'm sorry.
There you go. Yeah, because he's tied with Jack now in the Masters, 5 each.
5 with the Masters, yeah.
No, I'm just saying by
yeah,
itself.
by itself.
He's won 5. Jack's won 5.
Right.
So
I'm talking about majors. He's one behind Jack with the majors.
So all he needs to do is win one more major to tie Nicklaus, and then 2 more to break Nicklaus's record. And he's only 43 years old.
Well, my question is, I don't know if you, when you were watching, did you watch the final round?
Yes and no.
Okay, well, they were talking about his daily routine on play days. He's up at 3:30 receiving treatment.
Right.
Just so he can get through the round.
Right.
I mean, at 43 years old, how long is that sustainable? In reality.
I don't know. I know that he's in, I don't know. But how long does it have to be? How many major tournaments can he play in a given year? If he stays healthy, would you say? 6, 8, 10?
Yeah, I mean,
so what we're talking
you can
about?
play in them all if he's healthy.
All right, but let's be realistic. What would you say? Is it
6? Say
right.
6.
Well, let's say 10.
Okay, say 10.
Only because it's easier for me in my head to round up the number where I'm going here.
Okay.
All he has to do is play 10 tournaments, and all he has to do is win 10% of them.
Well, yes, but
in 2 years running, and then he's 45 years old, and he's broken Nicklaus's record.
That's true. Or, I mean, with the injury and all that he has to go through, is he going to chase for 2 years and then join the senior tour?
I don't know.
That's my question.
Tiger, you need to phone in, buddy. 302-922-0276.
Because he got a lot of lucky breaks in that last round. I mean, Molinari hitting the ball in the water. I mean, it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but so what? That's the game.
Well, it is the game, but that's why I asked, did the stars align for him to win that?
No.
He played well enough to win. But that's my question.
Golf takes up a lot of your time, but not in a playing way, because
Right.
you got your day job, and you do a marvelous job, and then you got your night job, with being the preeminent percussionist on the planet Earth in the 21st century.
Wow.
Just leave the check,
High praise.
Leave the check on the dresser. But I play golf, and,
Right.
and I will tell you that this is ain't shit lines in golf.
Right.
Okay, you're either having a good day and you're hitting it well, or you're not. And even if you're really good at it, Molinari is a good example of a guy. I heard in every time I've watched that guy play in the last 2 years, invariably one of the color guys, the announcer guys, says some version many times during a tournament, over and over, of, this is a guy who just doesn't make mistakes. That's the hallmark of his game. He's so precise. He's so careful. He's so sturdy. His fundamentals are so. And that one last round, it all turned to crap for him. So
Yeah.
the stars and the fates and the et cetera, I don't think that there's not a doubt in my mind that Tiger deserved that win.
I'm on the fence whether he's back or not. That's.
Yeah, and that's.
I hope he is. I mean, he's the best thing for the golf business, but I hope he's back. But
I'll tell you what. Yeah, I would rather have a guy like. And this is personal tastes, I would rather have a guy like Tiger winning it, because he's 43 and there's kind of a charm to that. And I'm gonna diss somebody now, and I don't mean it to be. It's going to be disrespectful, but I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just drawing a comparison.
right.
I appreciate and respect that the kid's got talent and he's winning tournaments and he's thought of as one of the top players in the game. But if the personality, in terms of, well, let me put it this way. I grew up in an era of Arnold Palmer's and Jack Nicklaus's. In addition to their talent as golfers, they also had personalities,
Right.
to some extent. Arnold more than Jack. Jack wasn't Shecky Green, but there was some sparkle.
Or Norman Short.
There you go. There was some sparkle in the, you know what I'm saying, in the presentation. And then the person who comes to my mind when I go name, somebody said, let's play pyramid. Somebody who's a great PGA golfer who's totally devoid of personality.
Jordan Spieth.
Brooks Koepka.
Oh, yeah.
This guy, Brooks Koepka, he reminds me of, and again, I reiterate, I'm not bashing him, and it's a little diss, but not to diss him. It's just to make the comparison. He reminds me of the guy we all knew in high school or college or whatever. He's a good guy. He seems to be. I've seen his interviews. He's polite, but there's just, and he plays a hell of a game of golf. Okay, but there's no. It's just, hey Brooks. This is like, if I was going to do the impression, it would be like, I'd like to do Brooks Koepka in a thoughtful moment of pondering his shot.
Right.
Well, you have to watch this. It's a little visual. And he doesn't even do the chin. He just does this. Now I'd like to do my impression of Brooks Koepka after he sinks the 42-foot putt from the left at a 45-degree slant.
You're really good at impersonations.
You see, and nobody's saying it's required to be a big shot, sparkly. But the game is as much about presentation as it is about the rest of it.
Right.
And some of these guys,
Well, without personality, you're just hitting all in all.
That's been my experience as well. 922-0276. This is 302 if you want to check in tonight, or you can Facebook what? Somebody?
No, nobody. Well,
who's calling me?
No, I had. This is my pick of the week for story of the week.
Oh, okay.
I got one more for you.
Sure.
I'm gonna have to read it. Klaus Gersted from Norway
Didn't think he was from Bayonne.
has a bad knee. Okay.
Doo-dah.
So he bought a stool from IKEA to use in the shower.
This sounds already like a bad limerick.
Oh, it's gonna be bad.
Okay.
So apparently, while taking a shower, the seat has a number of round holes in it.
Hopefully.
Klaus got little Klaus, his testicles stuck in the IKEA chair.
Okay, first of all, we have a very, as we build our audience, it's your friends and my friends. They're very erudite people. You don't need to explain that the little Klaus was testicles. That's a given.
Well, now, apparently, he is lashing out at IKEA about the stool, which isn't a shower stool in the first place. He just decided to use it in the shower. So, I mean, I don't think IKEA's watching us or anything, but I mean,
we're going to start doing, I don't know whether we'll just make an entire segment out of it officially or whether that'll just pop up in random conversation, but I'm big on doing things a lot of these days, and it's part of my innate charm and cynicism all mixed into one magic recipe. And I'll find out some way to make a little variation on the country song. God is great, beer is good, and people are fucking stupid.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not, that's a little harsh. This gets off into that whole thing we've talked about, too, conversationally, about people who, in fact, I've even written on it and have never fully formed it into a book. The working title was Freedom Without. And you've heard me rant on this. There's too much freedom in this country. We don't need more, we need less. But what we need is we need to be a different kind of freedom, because what we have is we have an abundance of freedom without accountability, freedom without responsibility, freedom without ability. Okay. Well, I got my rights, and I'm going to sue you, or free speech. I can say whatever I want whenever I want. No, you really can't.
No.
You can by law. Okay. But I remember Granddaddy used to say, Scotty, call me Scotty because he was weird. He'd say, the right to swing your fist ends where the other boy's nose begins. Unless, of course, you were fighting.
Right.
But in the context. This guy was a doots, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, fine. So put your little Klauses where they don't belong. Okay. But you don't get to come back and... But they do.
That's the problem.
And there's the problem.
And I think this all started with the McDonald's hot coffee suit years and years ago.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the first issue that I remember being publicized.
Well, you know what? That's a nice segue, and turns out, thanks for doing that. We're going to do this because I want to take a little short squirt here. 302-922-0276 if you want to call, that's great. And if you want to just chat with us on Facebook Live, feel free to comment. We're on the page called The Blab if you're one of the folks that like the page. And thanks very much. We just in the first day or two of letting people know the page was there, I think the likes are up to over 120 or something like that.
Yes.
Which is good
we really appreciate that for...
Well, if it's a nothing page in the middle of a nothing, it's busy time, and we're not exactly Martin and Lewis, so there's that. But we're going to do this for a second. We'll be right back.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
All right, welcome back. That's just our cute way of kind of taking a little break when we need to turn things around because we don't do commercials, so it's not like we can say, well, we'll be right back after a few words from our sponsor. All right, in the context of the freedom to and the freedom without and the et cetera, something else came up this week, and I thought we would address that for a second, and I think let's see if this one works. This would be really fun. Let's see what happens here.
There we go.
Yeah, see, I got to remember to cue those things up correctly so that they run. All right, here's what's going to happen. That's my bad. We're still learning. Now I'm going to bring my camera back, so now here we are again, and I'm going to go, okay, I think now it's reloaded correctly. Let's see if it plays properly. A little thing we call needles and pins. There's your pop quiz, by the way. I want to say that's Jackie DeShannon from the 1960s with the classic version of that tune, but here's your pop quiz song. Who wrote that song?
Scott Edward Phelps.
I wish. Like I'd be sitting here dicking around with this if I had the royalties coming in. No. It was co-written, actually. Jack Nitzsche, who was who went on to become a pretty prominent film composer in the 1960s. He scored the music to Officer and Gentleman and a bunch of other films. His co-writer was a young song plugger working in the L.A. area in the early 1960s by the name of Salvatore Bono.
Oh, Sonny.
Sonny co-wrote that song.
Yes.
And they probably took the royalties and financed the recording sessions that inflicted I Got You, Babe, on the
And
rest of the
gypsies, tramps, and thieves.
Half-breed from the PC pile. All right, but not to get too jocular right off, since we were ranting about freedom without. This goes to something we were talking about. I was talking about with somebody the other day, and this is in the news. Measles.
Oh,
And let's talk about freedom for a second, and the freedom to be stupid.
exactly.
And I'm just going to say because I can. Disagree if you want. I would refer you back to the beginning of the podcast, the show tonight, when I said I don't care what you think. If you're sending your kid unvaccinated into a school full of other kids, okay, you are putting your own child at risk, but you're putting other people's kids at risk
Yes.
too. And this goes back to the fist ends where the nose starts. Here's cases are already confirmed in, and we're not Chicken Little in here. Okay, this is not snowflake libtard. Don't give me that shit, because that's an excuse that people who don't have an intelligent argument to come back with. Cases have been confirmed in Arizona, California. Well, you know what? I'm not even going to read the list, because at this point it's 25 states.
Right.
By my Louisiana 6th grade math skills, it's 14 carry the 1. That's like half the country. Okay?
Are you sure?
I'm not sure, but I'm going to go with that.
I have a calculator on my cell phone.
That's okay. New York and Washington have declared states of emergency. Now, let me make the real point here, okay? And then if you want to weigh in for a second, fine. And I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to any of the who's listening to us tonight. And feel free, the Blab at Facebook Live. We Be the Blab, by the way, is the Facebook thing. If you just type that in, too, you can also find the page. I posted this the other day in one of my moments of poetic, profundity, which I get into in these situations. This is 2019. Movies and TV have been around since the 1930s, but for all practical purposes, let's say sometime in the 1940s, this particular genre I'm about to mention started, and it became pretty prolific. So it's been 70 years. You and I and everybody else who's been alive since then, or since then for that matter, has been saturated with, inundated with, exposed to the catastrophe movies.
Oh, yeah.
The science fiction movies, the catastrophic event movies. We've kind of, whether we're aware of it or not, we've sort of become conditioned to subliminally believe that if and when a catastrophic event occurs, it's going to be a volcano.
Tsunami. Yes.
A meteor shower. An asteroid. An entire asteroid. Deep impact. Armageddon.
Or an evil genius like Dr. Evil.
Yes. It never, well, I shouldn't say never. It mostly doesn't cross most people's minds that it won't be necessarily, possibly even probably something like that. What it could very easily be is something very, very simple and dangerous and fatal, like, say it with me,
Measles.
And the thing is, with that kind of stuff, just like in those movies, you know, I talk about this all the time, and it's my favorite little phrase. I say, always remember the first 15 minutes of every disaster catastrophe movie is the naysayers walking around rolling their eyes going, oh, that's bullshit. That's not going to happen.
That's never going to happen.
The good thing about those is the good scriptwriters take care of business, and it's those fools who are usually the first ones to get smacked by the asteroid. Yeah. So that's just desserts. But
or the
seriously,
the Sharknado.
Okay. That's a good one.
Actually, I told you my buddy Gerald, which I'll get Gerald on the podcast. He did the casting for Sharknado.
Did he?
Yeah.
Wow. It was fun. I like, not to wander too far off of that, but I liked the first one a lot. I liked the second one, okay. The third one was pretty fair. And by the fourth one, I had what I call Krispy Kreme syndrome. And what that is that first Krispy Kreme, boy, you can't wait to get another one. And that second Krispy Kreme, it's good. And that third one is like, yeah, okay. And by about the fourth one, you're thinking, broccoli. I'd like to have some broccoli because I'm about sugared out. Anyway, back to the measles. This is the kind of
Well, here's my question. Didn't we virtually have the measles wiped out?
Yes.
So, I mean,
God is great.
Yeah.
Beer is good. People are stupid.
Yes.
Not all people. I grew up, I was vaccinated I've had chicken pox. I've had measles.
Mm-hmm.
I never had polio. Guess what? I was vaccinated for polio.
polio.
I was one of the kids in the era when the
Sugar cubes.
first
Yep.
came
Yep.
out.
I got the sugar cubes
It was
too.
a little family event. We went to our local school.
Yeah,
They
they
had it set up
they
in the
gave them out
gymnasium.
at school.
Yeah, they had them
With
set up
us.
in the gymnasium, and everybody went and did it. Mankind in general, but somehow Americans, and lately Americans in this particular place in the timeline, it's like we well, hell with it, they, because I don't. Okay, it's 2 steps forward and 6 steps back.
Yep.
And then wringing hands and wailing and weeping that we never seem to be getting anywhere. We never seem to advance. These things don't, we make technological advances to a sort, but these other things that just come along. And it's hard not to be, it's impossible not to be disheartened. It's very hard not to be just totally and absolutely hopelessly cynical about the thing. That, believe it or not, people who know me pretty well, who take the time, know that there's still moments when I go, come on, we're going to turn the corner. People don't see a lot of that because you got to talk to me at length to get out of that.
Right.
Because my surface presentation is we're all fucked because that's how stupid people are. But it's hard not to feel that way when you've got people who say, well, we're not going to.
Well, Scott, I mean, I'm with you 100% with the stupid people, but I sense the greater good in man's intelligence, and I think at some point those.
Yeah, but that was my point with that happened. The polio vaccines, the measles vaccines, the chickenpox vaccines, that's already happened. So now it's not like they're fighting it to make it happen. It's already happened.
No,
it's already succeeded, and now they're backing away from it. That's nothing other than just.
Well,
it kind of shoots a hole in your greater good theory.
Well, they're blaming other diseases and other ailments on these inoculations, which I mean, who's to say maybe there is some small percentage of valid truth to the inoculations causing something else, but
it could be. But
I mean, there's no reason once we've wiped out measles, and you're never going to wipe out chickenpox, but once you've wiped out measles,
no, why would you say that? Never say never.
Well, chickenpox is it's something that's dormant in you once you're
now. But we didn't have a cure for polio until we did.
Well, that's true.
See, there's that little optimism sneaks out of me every now and then. I go, well, I know people freak out.
See, I trapped you.
I'll tell you a little secret about it. Okay, I was thinking about this today when I decided I wanted to chat with you about this for a minute tonight. Measles. Okay, I was vaccinated as a kid. I had measles as a kid, but I also did the vaccines.
Right.
So I'm guessing that it wasn't as bad as it could have been. Blah 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 yada yada. Some years ago, I was diagnosed as high functioning Asperger's.
Right.
Which is a form of autism. I'm not full blown autistic. But I got to tell you, when I got that diagnosis, it was intriguing because it was just a few years ago, and I'm long since a grown adult. It was kind of cool because all of a sudden, a lot of shit made sense. That scene in the first Men in Black movie, where Will Smith is brought into he's getting the tour the first time, and Tommy Lee takes him over to the big monitor that's got all the different people who are actually not of this earth,
right?
And Will Smith's standing there and going, that 6th grade teacher, I knew it. I knew there was something going on there. Okay, that's how I was feeling when I saw the list of the symptoms of Asperger's into autism,
right? And
some of the things that I feel and do, and some of the ways I've behaved and continue to behave in my life. Now, was that as a result of the vaccination when I was a child? Because I've heard it said that they believe that a lot of these vaccines are causing autism in kids. And okay, well,
maybe.
But then the price you pay is the price you pay. What do you do?
Yeah, I mean,
I just hate to see the
cure will kill you.
Well,
I mean, you should. I'm not anti-vaccination. I mean, I believe in vaccinations. If I had kids, I would have them vaccinated. As a matter of fact, I might kidnap a few kids and just have them vaccinated just for something to do.
We should do that. We should have random vaccination vaccine raiding parties.
Let's throw a hood over their head and take them to the doctor.
I tell you what, we could get featured on Fox News in a heartbeat.
Here, there we go.
All right, so that takes care of that. All right, so we got about 5 minutes here. Thanks for calls. Thanks for checking in, just listening. We're going to be doing this for a while.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
It's okay. And I want to always kind of end it up, we do this thing, so I created one more little dealio. Let's see if I can make this one work.
All right.
This will be really fun, because what we're going to say each and every Wednesday night when we do this about this time, is, and this is tribute to our buddy Norm, okay? This is what I call, let's see if it works. It's time for Rim Shots. Yeah, I got to learn to cue those things up. All right, I'm not going to play that over again. If I had done that correctly, it's a nice little piece of music. It's actually a Randy Newman song. The whole purpose of the this little thing is just some quick little shots to have a little laugh and to do some quick conversation as we send our way out on this here Wednesday night. And you'll understand why I call them rim shots when I say, for example, Kim Kardashian has revealed that she's studying to become a lawyer.
Yes.
Okay, but is not going to go the law school route. In California, she plans to become a lawyer, and this is law there. You can become a lawyer without a law degree by doing a 4-year apprenticeship with a law firm.
Yes.
So I say, good, yay thee. Good for you, Kim. Now,
yes.
If law school should, however, become necessary later in the process, Kanye has already put Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman on retainer to score Kim a slot.
There we go.
Okay.
Nice.
Thank you. Scientists suggest that the human brain could be connected to the internet in the next few decades.
I saw that.
Because what you really want more than anything else is cars racing along at 80 miles an hour with drivers who are buffering. According to a new survey, millennials tend to lie most on their resumes. Millennials of all the age groups.
Kim Kardashian.
Most told lies, work experience, dates of employment, and education level reached. Upside, this apparently assists them in guiding them to the career to which they are obviously best qualified, Congress.
Oh, there you go. I see what you did there.
Meanwhile, Pete Buttigieg, I'm going to get it right. Pete Buttigieg, the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, has become the 658th Democrat to enter the race. He would be. This is actually, I think, from Kimmel. He would become our first openly gay president and our first President Pete, which Kimmel says sounds like a movie where Kevin James winds up in the White House. I like that one. Trump reportedly refers to his daughter Ivanka in official meetings as baby.
I would.
Stephen Miller, little Goebbels Nazi who's working there on the Oval Office side, said to President Trump, "That's inappropriate, Daddy."
Very good. Very good.
All right, what else have I got? What time? I got one more? Yeah. This is good for ladies if you're in the family way. A restaurant on the West Coast, Scipollini's. They have 6 locations, one in Nevada, and they sell a pizza called Prego.
I saw that.
They say back in 1981, a pregnant woman came in, demanded a pizza that would make her overdue baby come out. He made her a pie. Salami, pepperoni, sausage, ham, ground beef, mushrooms, Parmesan cheese, oregano, linguiça, black olives, bell peppers, onions, garlic, marinara, melted mozzarella on a thick crust. The whole thing weighed more than 4 pounds. After eating the pizza, her water broke as soon as she got home. There's been nearly 150 documented success stories with up to 10 pregnant women coming into the restaurant every night. But I did a little research, and it turns out the same effect can be achieved from scarfing down 4 pounds of just about anything.
Yes.
There's no room for the baby.
There's a lot of phallic things on that pizza. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Pepperoni, salami.
No, I didn't, but thanks for bringing it up. Any therapists in the room?
I need help.
All right, let me see. I got 2 more. Cops were called recently. This one got a lot of buzz this morning. I threw this up on the Facebook page. Cops were called to a Walmart store in Wynuma, Florida, to remove an 8.5-foot alligator from the store. My punchline, luckily, the gator was not in the checkout line, or none of the staff on the store would have noticed it.
Well, there you go.
And last but not least, it's not too soon because nobody was injured or harmed in the fire, the terrible fire at Notre Dame. But investigators have traced the cause of the fire to the cathedral's outdated 12th century electrical system. In our examination of the wreckage, we discovered that some of the circuit breakers and sockets hadn't been updated since Louis XII. The moral of the story? Stay away from anything in the electrical aisle at Home Depot with the brand name Ye Old.
Nah.
Should have ended with the alligator.
You should have stopped with the alligator.
All right.
What was the alligator in there to buy?
SPF 40. I don't know. What they do. All right, we'll be back. Here's the way this works. We will take this broadcast and turn it into a final forum. It will go on our YouTube channel. You can check it out. We're also on Instagram and Twitter. This will be available at the Blab page, Facebook, as a previously live, but now it's if you'd like to enjoy it. And I think we're going to be turning it into an audio podcast. If you're on the Blab page, just check it out. If you want to share that information with people, let people know what we're going to do, because we're actually going to, this is fun. I think we're having a little thing and sharing some information with folks, and believe it or not, it will get better, because we don't know what we're doing. Well, we're both obsessively, it's never good enough. Let's put it that way. So that's why we continue to do that. And you know what? Now I've forgotten where the... All right, I'm just going to take one last crack at it because I made the thing. I will say thank you for being you,
and thank you for being you.
Thanks for coming over, and let's see if this works. Okay, as we say, see you next time on the Blab.
The Blab.
The Blab.